All right, so this is segment 2 of our asynchronous lecture. We're now discussing what courts call corporate opportunities, right? You might want to briefly consider the difference between corporate opportunities on the one hand, the corporate opportunity doctrine on the one hand, and fiduciary duties more generally. And the way I think to think about this is that the corporate opportunity doctrine is really a subset of the duty of loyalty. Right? It really falls, the corporate opportunity doctrine really falls within the duty of loyalty. And I think that courts could deal with the corporate opportunity doctrine through general principles of the duty of loyalty. But the problem of corporate opportunities and the corporate opportunity doctrine are so pervasive that courts have developed a special doctrine called the corporate opportunity doctrine to deal with this particular problem, right? To deal with this situation. And we've seen it before, by the way. The Rash case was a case of corporate opportunities, although we didn't really call it that at the time. So we're going to take up 2 cases that deal specifically with the corporate opportunity problem in the next several segments of this asynchronous lecture. First case is Braz versus Cellular Information Systems, Inc. It's on page 263. And this is a case where you probably want to try to diagram the case, right? If we were in class, I would definitely put something on the whiteboard behind me. But maybe it makes sense for you to try to do this on your own. And hopefully if you do that, you'll make more sense of the case. So you're welcome to stop this now, pause the lecture, and try to draw a diagram of the case. That might be very useful. And I imagine if you do, you'll get more out of this discussion, but I leave that up to you. All right, so Braz, who is he? He's the president and sole shareholder of a company called RFB Cellular, right? RFB Cellular is a provider of cell service. Braz is also on the board of a competitor, right? He's also on the board of CIS, which is a competitor of RFB Cellular. Another company, Mechanic, is trying to sell a license for mobile service, right? The Michigan 2 license. And Mechanic contacts Braz in his capacity as president of RFB Cellular and wants to try to get him interested in buying this license. Mechanic did not offer Michigan 2 to CIS, right? It really contacted Braz in his capacity as the president and sole shareholder of RFB Cellular. Braz actually raises the issue with CIS's CEO. So he knows he's on the board of CIS. He realizes he's got dual loyalties. He understands that he owes fiduciary duties to both companies. So he raises the issue with CIS's CEO, Richard Tribeck, and another director. And they both say CIS is not interested, right? CIS is not interested in the Michigan 2 license. At the same time, we should recognize that another company called Pry Cellular is actually looking to purchase CIS, right? Now, of course, Braz doesn't go out and talk to Pry Cellular. At that point, they're just interested in buying CIS, but he does go and talk to CIS's CEO and another director of CIS, and they say they're not interested. All right, so Braz submits a bid for the Michigan 2 license. At the same time, Pry Cellular is also beginning negotiations to buy the Michigan 2 license. So Pry Cellular, the party that's out there looking to purchase CIS, starts to negotiate to try to buy the Michigan 2 license as well. There's a bit of a bidding war. Braz wins, right? Braz wins the bidding war, and he's able to purchase Michigan 2 for RFB Cellular. 9 days later, Pry Cellular, in fact, completes its purchase of CIS, right? Before that time, Pry Cellular does not own any of CIS. 9 days after this bidding war and 9 days after Braz wins, Pry Cellular, in fact, completes its purchase of CIS. So what's the central allegation in the case? You should ask yourself, what's the nub of the issue, right? What's going on here? The opinion really does not make it perfectly clear, but I'm hoping that through reading the opinion, thinking about it, and knowing that we're dealing with the corporate opportunity problem, you'll be able to discern what the primary issue is. And as you can see from the opinion, CIS argues that Braz essentially took a corporate opportunity which belonged to CIS And Braz used that for his other company, right? The company where he is the sole shareholder and a director, RFB Cellular, right? So the allegation is that Braz took a corporate opportunity, right, meaning purchasing of this license, that really belonged to CIS, and he took it for his other company, RFB Cellular. The court handles the allegation through the corporate opportunity doctrine, right? It handles this issue through the corporate opportunity doctrine. And the first question we should ask ourselves is, well, what is that doctrine, right? What does it say? The court looks to the famous case of Guth v. Loft from 1939, very famous case, right? And the court explains the doctrine in a simpler context, right, really than the one here, which is where one director of a corporation is essentially taking an opportunity for himself or herself in their personal capacity, right? So again, corporate opportunity problem. The problem is that you've got a director who takes an opportunity that should belong to the corporation, and he or she usurps that opportunity and takes it for themselves in their personal capacity. In that context, Guth v. Loft says that a director of a corporation cannot do that, right? Cannot take an opportunity for herself if the corporation is financially able to undertake the opportunity, the opportunity is in the corporation's line of business, the corporation has an interest or expectancy in the opportunity, and by embracing the opportunity, the officer or director faces a conflict of interest. So we've got a beautiful four-part test, right? The corporate director cannot take an opportunity for him or herself if those four prongs are all met. And it's an and, right? We're not talking about or. All of them must be met. In Braz, the case is a little bit different, right? The context is a little bit different because Braz is not accused of taking an opportunity for himself in his personal capacity. He's really accused of taking an opportunity for his company. Now, he is the sole shareholder, right? So he owns the entire company, but he's really accused of taking an opportunity for his company, which really belongs to the other company where he sits on the board. Remember, he's the president and sole shareholder of RFB Cellular, but he's on the board of CIS. So what's the result? Well, when we apply the tests from a minute ago, the factors seem to go against CIS and in favor of Braz and RFB Cellular. Why do I say that? CIS, in fact, was unable to take advantage of the opportunity financially. They didn't really have the resources to do it, right? It was only possible that CIS was in the, quote, line of business that we're talking about here, right? So the opportunity, right, buying up this cellular license, right, was not necessarily in, or CIS was not necessarily in the line of business to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And maybe just as more importantly than the other two, although they're all important, there was no expectancy of CIS of receiving the opportunity. In fact, they declined the opportunity, right? Because when Braz went to them and said, "Are you interested?" they basically said, "No, right? We're not interested in this opportunity." So there's one or two other issues. What about the failure to formally present the opportunity to the CIS board, right, which is discussed towards the end of the opinion? There's no facts here to demonstrate that Braz literally took the opportunity to the whole CIS board. And the case says that doing that is not necessarily required, right? Would be nice to do it. Presentation to the board would be wonderful. And if you did go to the full board and the board said, "No, we're declining that opportunity," that might act as a safe harbor and protect you from liability, but it's not strictly necessary, right? So the court dismisses that issue of not taking the opportunity to the full board. And in truth, we should recognize here that the real party in interest is Price Cellular, right? They're the ones who were looking to bid on the Michigan 2 license. They're the ones who were stepping in to buy CIS, right? Just 9 days later, they bought the company. They are really the true sort of party in interest, right? They're in the process of buying CIS. They're the one who's bidding. They're the most interested. So one unanswered question is why Braz did not have to consider the pending merger when he was thinking about taking this opportunity for himself. But why didn't he have to also go to Price Cellular, talk to them, think about the impending merger? And the court dismisses that, right? The court says, you know what, that's just too uncertain. It's too speculative, right? The court refers to contingent and uncertain plans. So we may say in retrospect, we now know that the real party in interest here is Price Cellular, right? They were only a few days away from buying CIS. Maybe Braz really should have gone out to Price Cellular and talked to them about whether it was okay for Braz to take this opportunity for himself. But the court says that's hindsight, right? That's hindsight. That's too uncertain, right? The plans were contingent, they were uncertain, and there's really no reason to assume, based on those uncertain plans, that Braz had any obligation to go out and talk to Price Cellular. So that's it for segment 2. When we pick up with segment 3, we'll talk about the questions after the case. See you then.